Welcome to our Careers Conversation series. This is where we sit down with colleagues from across Captiva Learning and beyond to hear their real stories and how they got to where they are today. Each episode will give you an honest look and twists and turns and challenges and the wins that shape every career journey. Today, I'm joined by Dane, who works with us, and we're going to be talking about their path into the role and what they learned. So welcome, Dane.
Afternoon.
And I hope you are ready for a bit of question and answers about your career journey.
I hope so.
So should we get started?
Completely, yeah, crack on.
Yeah. So first question. When you started out, when you were younger, did you ever imagine doing what you do today?
Not in a million years, no. To be honest, came from a relatively traditional upbringing with a parent who wanted me to be academically excellent. I was also not a bad footballer. So for many, many years, I actually thought I was going to be professional, but I am that sad story of a failed professional footballer. So I had to pivot quite quickly in terms of career direction. Didn't really know or understand apprenticeships until I met my wife, actually, who worked in apprenticeships, and then subsequently did my master's degree apprenticeship with Captiva Learning and fell in love with it. So absolutely did not expect to be where I am, particularly after then spending 15 years in mainstream education. Working from home in a very, very different environment has been an absolute blessing and a really exciting opportunity.
So what qualifications and training have you developed? I know you said you're about your master's, but what did you do to help you get on your career journey as it is now?
Again, fairly traditional route, really. GCSEs, where I passed all my GCSEs, which was a bonus. Then, being completely transparent, picked my best GCSEs to then take on to A-level because that's what was expected of me at the time. And then did exactly the same with my A-levels, took my best A-level through to university without any real clue of what I wanted to do with that degree. I actually tried to quit my degree on numerous occasions because I was moonlighting as an assistant bar manager at a very trendy and popular bar in my town centre, and they offered me the job permanently. I'm very glad that I didn't do that because they went bust a few months later. Yeah, following on my degree, the obvious route was then teaching because I didn't really know what else to do, but found a natural affinity for teaching. So taught for 15 years, did obviously the qualifications and the CPD that you would naturally do within that sector. I was a deputy head at sort of towards the end of my career, and the next obvious step was headship. Didn't necessarily fancy that at the time for a sort of variety of different reasons. So decided to do the master's degree apprenticeship with Captiva Learning. And then that kind of changed everything because I just completely fell in love with what was being offered and the different ways of looking at leadership and management outside of what I felt was quite a bubbled organisation that I worked within, and then begged them to give me a job, really. So as part of working for them, obviously numerous CPD opportunities. I've also completed my own apprenticeship recently in academic sort of presentations and sort of employability elements. So yeah, it's constant with apprenticeship sector is staying ahead of the trend. So lots and lots of CPD opportunities.
So with your career change, what do you think was your biggest challenge? What kind of transitional challenges did you face going from teaching in an education school into apprenticeships for that transition?
Oh, that's such a good question. Probably my own mental blockers more than anything. You get very used to your routines and your structures and the environment or the organization that you work within. So it was quite tricky coming out of a mainstream educational setting into the apprenticeship sector because there's a lot of new learning involved. And that can sometimes feel overwhelming to begin with. And there can be a huge amount of self-doubt and have I made the right decision? Oh my goodness, what have I done? What have I done? So that was probably the biggest learning curve for me, but actually has also been kind of the biggest epiphany for me in that actually I would argue this for any human being who puts himself in this position. You are far more resilient than you know, and you have far more adaptability than you know. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way because you can feel like you're swimming upstream, but actually when you get to that point and are able to reflect and look back, you recognize just how far you've come.
And you said about looking back, but is there anything that you might have done differently over this time?
I'd have enjoyed it more. That's really deep and philosophical, which I have a tendency to do, but I think enjoy the journey a little bit. Sometimes I was mentioning this to you pre-recorded, a bit of a pessimist sometimes and a bit of a worrier. And actually, most things tend to work out all right, particularly if you believe in yourself. And, that learning journey and that sort of amalgamation of new knowledge and skills is actually really good fun. You're very busy and you're not bored in any way. So enjoy that element of it, because the days do go by very fast, and sometimes you can get lost in translation.
So going from there, what is probably your biggest milestone or achievement to date that really stands out throughout your career in education and in apprenticeships? What's the biggest thing you think, or even as a want-to-be football player?
Yeah, I still have moments of reflection on that, but no, I mean, I think there's so many moments within your career, and I'm a big believer now in taking the time to celebrate and reflect on those moments. And obviously, I was immensely proud to achieve my master's degree, and then that has been a bit of a gateway to me for this new career. So I've recently been appointed as head of tuition. So within the time at Captiva, that's been my biggest personal achievement. But actually, my biggest achievement is the wins that we get for learners and for colleagues. I'm a huge believer in collaboration, and when you see that collaborative effort come to fruition and be successful, and everyone sees their part in it, there's nothing better for me. So that's a constant achievement, because I do believe that we're doing that all the time.
Absolutely. And I know you said you've just got your new promotion or a new job that's within Captiva, but what's next on your horizon? What do you kind of see, or how are you going to steer the ship going forward for your own career?
I don't know, and I think that's the beauty of it. That used to terrify me in terms of not knowing what those next steps look like. But actually, I'd like to think that I've developed myself to recognise that whatever that next step might be, and nobody knows what's around the corner, I feel like I'm in a good place to meet whatever that challenge is. First and foremost, my priority is to make this new role as impactful and successful as possible, and I've got a brilliant team behind me as we look to really take our delivery and curriculum approach to the next level, and with some hugely exciting opportunities on the horizon. But equally, I've still got a lot of years left in employment of some description, so who knows what the future holds, really. But I'm very, very excited to see what that will bring, because, as I say, 5 years time, you look back and you think, well, where's that time gone? And you're in a completely different place. Now, if I'd have gone back 5 years, I wouldn't see myself being here necessarily. I would have seen myself still in education. So, really, really excited by what that could hold.
Excellent. And one last serious question, if you want, but if you could give your younger self any careers advice or one piece of a little gem, what would that be for anyone listening?
Oh, okay. Take the risk, I think. I do a lot of reading around entrepreneurialism and things of that nature. And whether that's in an employed point of view or actually going for it on your own, you look at success stories and you look at people who have taken those risks. It's to recognize that it is worth going for it and having that belief in yourself, and also recognizing that failure is not a bad thing. Sometimes we exist in organizations where it seems like the worst thing in the world to make a mistake, but actually that's part of development and that's part of success. So yeah, that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Brilliant. I couldn't agree with you more. And very lastly, we're just going to have a quick fire round. It's pick one or the other. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
One word to describe your job?
Busy.
Favorite podcast, book or quote?
Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO.
And who inspires you most in your career?
My career, wow, that is a big question. My family, to be honest with you, because they drive everything that I do.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been great to talk about your journey today and where you've got to. Hopefully this can go to our listeners as well, and they can see how you can transition really nicely from education into more the kind of corporate outside of education world, but still using your skills and transferring them. And I think that's it. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.